Hey, Rock, he's in the wall. Keep up the good work, baby.
Stomped out by the... Get the kid off it. Where's the line?
Hey, friendo, Steve here.
Hello, Larson.
And welcome back to Going In Raw, the only pro wrestling podcast you'll be listening to. It's Saturday, which means once again it's time for another count out. We're on the road to Wrestlemania, so we're talking about Wrestlemania. A lot of people are complaining about, the build this year, not terribly great. Well, it's not too uncommon because we've got a list here of other Mania storyline builds that sucked, Larson.
No good. So what about 3 years ago, lead up to WrestleMania 39, I guess, we did an episode of Count Out on strictly bad main event builds. Now we're casting a wider net here to talk about just bad Mania match builds, period.
I will list that video in the description below so you
Maybe
guys
I'll put
can...
one of those cards here when I mention it. Those cards that go up in the corner.
I'll put it above Larson's head right there if I can. And so, yeah, you guys can check out that one where we talk about a lot more matches, strictly main events. But there's a lot more to get into here. So let's go ahead and dive right into it. First up, number 10.
10.
Undertaker versus Bray Wyatt. What do you do when one of the participants doesn't have any contracted dates on the road to WrestleMania, Larson?
So this whole buildup reminds me, I think it was in Being the Elite, where the Young Bucks challenged Eddie Kingston to cut a promo on a cookie.
To cut a cookie, okay.
To cut a promo on a cookie, because that's essentially what Bray had to do here. He had to cut promos with a coffin, an urn, but no Undertaker because they didn't want Undertaker showing up. Apparently, what the deal was, this is from reports back in the day, in 2015, the build of this match, I think for PW Insider, that following the Undertaker's loss at WrestleMania 30 to Brock, they wanted to build back up his mystique and put questions in the fans' mind whether he was even going to show up to face. Those seem like contradictory things to me, but anyways, to put doubt in the fans' minds whether he's actually going to show up to answer Bray's challenge. And so they kept him off TV, save for like one audio promo for the entire duration of this feud.
Yeah, that's a horrible idea because if you think about the logical endpoint here, is Bray just going to be sitting there at WrestleMania with his dick out like, man, Undertaker, where you at? Oh, you're not coming? Okay, goodbye, everybody.
Yeah.
So on February 22nd at Fastlane, Bray Wyatt, they did two fake outs during this feud, by the way. I say feud. They did two fake outs. At Fastlane, they did the Undertaker's complete entrance. And they brought, the Druids brought a coffin down to ringside. And it pops open and who comes out? Bray Wyatt, man. Ha, 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 ha. Undertaker, I'm challenging you to WrestleMania. And crowd's like, what fucking, I thought Undertaker was going to be. We bought these cheap Fastlane tickets. We thought Undertaker was going to be here. And so on March 2nd, Bray continues his prodding of The Undertaker by lighting a coffin on fire. This is like a backstage thing that they did. The next week is when The Undertaker, apparently that went too far because The Undertaker, sent Bray Wyatt an audio message. Again, they did the whole entrance for The Undertaker, and it was like Taker going, okay, hold on. Is this recording?
Yeah.
What's going on? Okay.
Is this voice memo?
Michelle, is my voice memo on? It is? Okay. Bray Wyatt, I accept your challenge to WrestleMania. So then, challenge accepted. So the next week, granted, there's still 3 weeks left.
Yeah.
The next week, Bray he has an urn, of course. He's got an urn. He cuts a promo on urn, and there's some ashes in there he starts fiddling with. And then on the go home, we had an in-ring promo from Bray Wyatt. Still no Undertaker. The video promo, the music video hype promo package is hilarious
it is.
because there is no face-to-face that they can toss in there at all.
Nope.
It's just, a bunch of footage of Taker losing to Brock and historical footage of Undertaker. And then halfway through, Bray Wyatt shows up. Undertaker, man.
Yeah, that's when Bray was saying he's be the new face of fear. Yeah,
I'm the new face of fear.
Yeah,
yeah.
And then of course it all led to Bray losing at WrestleMania 31 to Undertaker. So
right, yeah. So they couldn't have Taker lose, I guess, 2 years in a row.
I guess not. I don't know if that match did a whole lot to reestablish Undertaker's aura.
It did nothing for anyone,
especially when the match happened in broad daylight.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like that was almost as bad as when Taker showed up at Mania 9 in broad daylight and he had that bird on him that he was like, oh, man.
Oh, it was a vulture, wasn't it?
I don't know what it was. It was some big old bird. Oh, man, this thing is going to freak out on me. I could just tell.
Oh, this is going to have bird shit on my ring gear.
It's going to bird shit on my ring gear. On my duster. Oh, man. All right, let's move on now to number 9. Charlotte gets added to the WrestleMania 35 main event. Talk about just overwritten nonsense. And I will say this, for many of the moments on the build to this WrestleMania 35 main event back in 2019, which of course involved Becky, Charlotte, and Ronda Rousey, there were moments, at this point they had realized, oh, we've got something with Becky and this sort of like Stone Cold-esque anti-authority figure. And so there were moments here that the crowd really blew up for Becky. But the amount of overwriting here was absolutely unnecessary. So,
oh yeah.
To go back and retrace some steps here. So, of course, Becky won the Rumble that year. She last eliminated Charlotte. She moves on to face Ronda in what was supposed to be the Survivor Series match the previous year.
Of course, Becky missed that match because Nia Jax inadvertently punched Becky right in the face.
Right.
Gave her a concussion. Also during the Rumble, Becky, in kayfabe, suffered a knee injury.
Right. So she was adamant about getting to WrestleMania and did not want to get that knee checked out. And so because of that, she was suspended. And she also beat up because Stephanie McMahon was pleading with her. There was way too much middle management going on here in this feud.
It was like they were trying to interject as all the McMahons they could in this story.
Again, a McMahon in every corner, seemingly. So Stephanie comes out. She's like, "Hey, you don't want to get checked out by medical. I don't want to do this, but I have to suspend you." They're doing this weird thing where they're trying to keep Stephanie and Triple H face, and at the same time have Becky be anti-authority, and it just did not work. So Stephanie says, "I'm going to suspend you," and instead Becky Lynch beats her up. A day later, because this is back when Raw and SmackDown were back-to-back on Monday and Tuesday. So a day later, Charlotte and Becky, they have one of the most awkward promos. This is one of those where Charlotte just can't get out of her own way, as we've seen before, where she's just trying to step on anything Becky does and not sort of, let her get the upper hand. So there's this awkward promo over the suspension. Triple H comes out. He gets in Becky's face. She slaps him. And granted, the crowd, they were into that because who wouldn't be? Seeing Triple H get slapped, especially by Becky, people want to see that shit.
Yeah.
The next week on Raw, Becky, and this really was the worst. Triple H and Stephanie come out, and they force Becky to apologize.
Yeah.
And the one thing that Stone Cold would never do is this, and that's actually apologize. So she's like, "Look, I just want to get to WrestleMania. Fine. I'm sorry." They offer handshake. She walks away from it. But then Vince comes out. So this whole thing about her apologizing is immediately wiped away because then Vince says, "There's one person who should be in this match with Ronda, and it's not you, Becky. It's Charlotte because she's got a good attitude, and I don't like your bad attitude. Ronda, you've got a bad attitude too." And so then he suspends Becky for 60 days. And the crowd's like, what? Yeah. This is like, at that point, they're just deflated. They're like, what? Number one, look, you and I are big Charlotte fans, but at the time it was like, no, this is not necessary.
Yeah.
So the crowd didn't like that. They didn't like her getting suspended. It was confusing. And they already made her look kind of bad by apologizing to the authority figures. It was stupid.
Yeah, it was.
So over the next couple of weeks, Becky keeps on attacking. She gets arrested. She keeps on violating suspension. She shows up, gets arrested. Ronda, though, is like demanding. She's sort of the odd man out here. She's like demanding from Stephanie that she gets Becky Lynch at WrestleMania. And in fact, on February 25th, she lays down her title, which Stephanie takes to mean she's vacating it. The next week, Stephanie has the title, and Becky's back in, and they're signing a hold harmless between Becky and Charlotte. Ronda comes down, and she's like, I didn't vacate my title. I want that back, and I just wanted Becky to be in the match. It's that simple. And then she drops the whole, like, if this was real, I could beat everybody up promo.
Yeah.
Which is a really, like, I don't even know really what they're trying to do here. Just get some sort of reaction for Ronda, I guess.
I think it was around this time, too, where on her vlog, she was kind of healing it up a little bit.
Yeah. I don't know if this is, like, something that Ronda wanted to do. Regardless, it was a fiery promo. And it showed some life, which she really hadn't been. She had been very kind of acquiescent to everything until then. And this promo like showed some fire at least. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, that was not terrible. It wasn't a bad promo necessarily. It was a bit rushed. But anyways, most of March then, you've got Becky and Charlotte on Tuesdays and Ronda just sort of isolated on Mondays. And they don't really interact all that much, which was weird.
Yeah.
And then March 26th, just to add some more stank to the match, Charlotte beats Asuka on SmackDown for her title, which Asuka had won in a triple threat against Charlotte and Becky, which Ronda Rousey had interfered with at TLC. Mm-hmm. Charlotte beats Asuka. She has a SmackDown title, and then it's announced right before WrestleMania that it's going to be winner take all, but not before April 1st when we had the best pull-apart brawl in wrestling history.
Oh, this was, without a doubt, the highlight of this entire story.
If it was just this, it would have been fine.
Yeah,
because they had the cops involved. Ronda was in the backseat of the car. She kicks out the window, and she gets out of the window, and Charlotte comes and boots her in the face. They're all handcuffed. It was a fantastic go-home segment.
It really was.
To what was really just an awful convoluted build.
It really was. I mean, if they wanted Charlotte in this match, given what we got, it actually would have made a lot more sense for just Charlotte and Becky to be co-winners of the Rumble. That would have been a better alternative.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about a situation later on where that exact situation happened, and it wasn't good.
Yeah. But it's hilarious.
It is.
So we're going to get
the context of 90s booking, that whole thing, the aftermath of all that. But this is a scenario where what they did to try to, I guess, make it seem like Becky was facing steeper odds.
It seems like that, but it was way too much.
It was too much. It was way too convoluted. Way too convoluted.
Yeah.
Becky versus Ronda, that match sold itself.
It did.
That could have main evented easily. I almost said night two. There was one night back then.
It was one really long night.
Yeah, main evented WrestleMania.
Yeah.
So, it's not like Charlotte was going to detract from the match itself, but how they went about including her in the match from a storyline perspective was just way overdone.
I think there is, like you said, dude, I think there was definitely a road to getting Charlotte in that match because I think in the end, that triple threat really worked. At the end, I felt bad because the final, like literally the finish of that match had a botchy pin.
Yeah.
But otherwise, the match itself and how big it felt, and when it was finally revealed that it was going to main event, it was like, wow, that's a big deal. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Finally, the women are main eventing.
Yep.
And so you add Charlotte to that match, and I get it. Charlotte's really good. But at the time, man, she was kind of insufferable with the promos. It was just like, I went back and I watched all these segments, and it's like, God, you guys need to script this and have people like held accountable because like this whole trying to step on everybody's toes just doesn't work.
I'm trying. When was it that Charlotte had those back-to-back promos?
Oh, dude, I don't.
Was that the build-up to this? Probably not.
I don't know, but boy, that was something else.
It
might have been.
It would have been fitting.
Yeah, it would have been fitting. Anyways, we've got a sponsor for the show this week, so let's go ahead and talk about them.
Let's do it. This episode of Going In Raw is sponsored by him. Steve, I got a question for you.
Okay, what's that?
Have you ever looked in the mirror and realized that your hairline is in full retreat?
No.
Seeing your thinning hair, I'm sure you have.
No, man. Here you go again. Getting on me about my supposed alleged thinning hair while failing to mention that, and I don't even like saying this, but I got to defend myself, Larson. Your hair is thin, man. Look, it's thinning up there. It's running away.
I don't know why you're being so defensive. I'm sensing a lot of anger coming from you, but I get it. Losing your hair can be a real hit to your confidence. I understand. But I'm here to tell you that Hims makes it simple to take control of hair regrowth with personalized care that fits your life. Hims offers a range of prescription hair loss treatments with doctor-trusted ingredients that work to stop further hair loss and regrow your hair in as little as 3 to 6 months. And Steve, you shouldn't have to go out of your way to get your confidence back and feel like Steve again. Hims brings expert care right to you, Steve, with 100% online access to personalized and flexible treatment plans that put your goals first. That means you can get yourself some Hims from the comfort of your home, Steve. So for simple online access to personalized and affordable care for hair loss, ED, weight loss, and more, visit hims.com/goinginraw. That's hims.com/goinginraw for your free online visit. hims.com/goinginraw.
Featured products include compounded drug products, which the FDA does not approve or verify for safety, effectiveness, or quality. Prescription required. See website for full details, restrictions, and important safety information. Individual results may vary based on studies of topical and oral minoxidil and finasteride. All right, Larson, let's go ahead and continue on with this list of WrestleMania bad builds. Number 8. Undertaker versus Shane McMahon.
I had to shoehorn this one in because this one is hilarious.
So, who would have thought that an Undertaker versus Shane McMahon feud would kickstart because of the Vincent J. McMahon Legacy of Excellence Award
being presented to Stephanie? This happened on the February 22nd episode of Raw. Was this 2016?
Yeah.
So in the course of her accepting
hold on, mind you, let me just hold on. This is February, so the 2016. This is a year after Undertaker did not show up at all for the Bray Wyatt feud.
Yeah.
And he's all over this.
He is.
Looking very over it, by the way.
And it's like they couldn't keep him away.
Right.
So Stephanie's acceptance speech is interrupted by Shane. First time he'd been back in the company, I think, since 2009.
It was like 7 years, I think.
Yeah. So he talks a bunch of trash about Triple H and Steph, saying they're running the company in the ground. And says, I want to cut a deal. I want control of Raw. And Vince says, all right, you can do that. In return, I want that lockbox back.
Yeah. Because
what lockbox?
Shane mentions to Stephanie during, after he has interrupted the Legacy of Excellence Award situation, he says, years ago, Dad messed up big time. And it's like, now, in retrospect, oh man, what could that be, Larson?
Yeah, I know. So anyways, the idea is Shane gets this match against Undertaker in Hell in a Cell. If Shane wins, he gets control of Raw. Undertaker can't compete at WrestleMania anymore if he loses. Vince gets the lockbox.
Yes.
And so we have this thing, again, what you mentioned earlier about you have Shane as returning babyface. Got a huge pop when he came back. Came out of nowhere. It was a huge surprise.
Yeah. Oh, no. The first half of this feud, people were popping a lot for it. But by the second half of this feud, it just turned into like Vince promo after Vince promo, and the crowd was so over it.
It was nonsensical garbage, too.
Yeah.
So, and then they don't want to turn Undertaker heel.
Right.
Because it's the one time a year the Undertaker shows up to wrestle at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
And so he's Vince's dude in this match, but he's trying to kind of wipe his hands of the idea that he's doing this for Vince. And he's even like not even taking responsibility for what he does to Shane. He's like, whatever happens to Shane, this is your fault, Vince. It's not mine.
Yeah.
I want nothing to do with you. But same time, WrestleMania, Hell in a Cell. It's again, it's like the character dynamics were just off.
It's this weird thing where Taker is like obligated to take the match because so Vince comes out and he's like, Undertaker is my force of destruction. And Undertaker is out and he's like, all right, I guess I'll take this match, but I'm not responsible. What happens to Shane at WrestleMania is on your head. And it's like, why are you taking this match in the first place? It's just because his boss booked it, which is like, honestly, at this point in Undertaker's legacy, like, it's the worst thing you could do to the guy. Like, the year before was spent building his mystique back up. This year was spent tearing it all down. And even Undertaker, when he showed up, it's like he hadn't really done his hair up special. He just sort of combed it back. It was kind of long. He was balding on top. Talk about needing hymns, It's like he shows up and he's like, all right, I guess I'm going to do this match because this is what's been booked for WrestleMania.
Yeah. And so we have about a month's worth of just bad segments. One, March 7th, Vince breaks a picture of him and Shane. Shane beats up security. The following week, Shane drops a promo where he's talking about his 2-point plan to beat Undertaker. Did he have a PowerPoint presentation for this?
He said, first, I'm going to turn my body into a weapon. He said 232 pounds of being a weapon. And he says, and part 2, I'm going to use my heart because I really love this company and I want to make it better. And then he calls Undertaker. He says, not only are you Vince's puppet, of course, Shane's sweating the whole time.
Oh, yeah. Sniffing, too, I'm sure.
You're Vince's bitch. And then Undertaker goes for a choke slam, but Shane has a counter for everything Undertaker's got for him. He gets out, hits a bunch of his weak punches, gets out of another choke slam attempt, and then Vince shoves Shane from behind into a choke slam from the Undertaker. And so at this point, I guess Taker is happy working with Vince. I don't know. The next week, we get a really tepid promo from Vince, and then the go-home sees Shane hitting a pretty impressive elbow off the top rope onto Taker, who's on the commentary table down there. Looked like a brutal spot. And then of course, after WrestleMania, The Undertaker...
we had to sit through a tepid, boring 30-minute Hell in a Cell match.
Yeah. Which Shane, he did do that big bump off the Hell in a Cell.
Off the top of the cell, yeah.
But obviously he lost to The Undertaker, and then Vince gave control of Raw to Shane anyway.
Yeah. So all that, and Shane still got to control Raw, I think, for at least 4 weeks.
For 4 weeks. You got a month, god damn it.
Yeah, he got a pay-per-view cycle.
Yeah, exactly. He got
it was till the next pay-per-view.
Yeah, he was ostensibly a guest host for 4 weeks.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, you got a month-long guest host residency here on Raw.
Right, exactly. Yeah, really lame stuff. Of course it was. I'm trying to think what year him and The Miz. That was 2019. That was 2019.
35, yeah.
Yeah, I can't wait to talk about that at some point. That's going to be a good. We'll figure out a list to put that on. Anyway.
We're literally going to build a list just so we could talk about George Mazan and get in the ring at WrestleMania 35.
Oh yeah, we're going to do that.
Yeah, we are.
It's going to be great too. All right, but before we get there, let's talk about number 7. Lex Luger versus Bret Hart, and then versus Yokozuna for one or both of those guys at WrestleMania 10.
Speaking of it, this is a situation mentioned earlier about 2 people winning the Rumble. So Bret and Lex were joint winners of the Rumble with Yokozuna as champion. And so rather than just doing like a triple threat or having Lex and Bret have a match before WrestleMania, determine who's going to face Yokozuna, they decided just to handle it all at WrestleMania and make Lex and Bret both wrestle 2 matches.
Yeah.
And so kind of the peak of the build was a coin toss they did, a whole segment where if Lex won the coin toss, then he'd wrestle Yokozuna first and Bret would wrestle Owen.
Right.
And then
Bret would get the winner.
The winner of Lex and Yoko. But if Lex lost the coin toss, Bret would wrestle Yokozuna first.
Yeah.
And Lex would wrestle Crush.
An opponent, what did he say? An opponent of value or something like that.
Of equal. It was like supposed to be like of equal, you know, like competency.
Stature. Competency.
So.
A competent opponent.
Well, I mean.
And it's Crush of all people.
On the same level as Owen Hart, I think is the idea.
Yeah, right.
And then Luger would face the winner of Bret and Yokozuna.
Dude, this coin toss segment, I've never, ever seen Vince so understanding of how bad this segment is. He understands that there's no way he can sell this. He's got Tunney in the ring. He's got a couple other stooges with him in the ring. And then, of course, he brings out Luger and Bret Hart, who are both like, white meat baby faces. They're like, oh, yeah, competition. I'd rather face you than Yokozuna. I'd never wish Yokozuna luck. I wanted to be us. And so they do this coin toss, and Vince is like, oh, Jack Tunney, is this a Canadian coin or an American coin? What? So he shows it's an American silver dollar. And
it
so
should have been Jack Tunney says, I got a toonie here. I'm going to flip.
Got a toonie, Jack Tunney. And so he shows it off, and it's like, it's silver dollar. He's like, may we see the other side, please? And so
they want to show that it wasn't a worked coin,
Like, why would it be
a kayfabe coin? I know.
Why the fuck would it be?
If they're gonna do a coin toss, where's the commemorative coin? You just bust out a silver dollar?
Yeah. Well, it was 94. Times were tough. I don't know if they can get a commemorative coin
guess
made. So anyways, they do the coin flip, and Luger calls it. Was this like? Yeah, this is live in the ring. Was this a shoot?
I don't know. I thought that too.
Yeah,
I thought that too.
Huh. I just thought about that now. I was like, well, that's taking a big chance right there.
Yeah, I thought that, like, once they introduced the coin flip, I was like, did they weigh this coin a certain way? Right. So it was going to guaranteed to land either heads or tails.
Did they just have the cameras not capture? Because in my head, I can't remember. Like, I'm assuming they just didn't have the camera capture where it actually landed, and they just said, "Oh, it's heads."
That could be, but they
because
showed
Luger makes
it
the
was
call.
heads. Yeah.
Now, here's the kind of confusing thing to me, or maybe not. Maybe I don't know if we're on the same page on this one or not. But when I first saw this, I was like, "Oh, wouldn't Luger prefer?" I guess he would just prefer the one match. The first match, but then if he won that, he would have the second match. My point is this: Luger wanted to fight Bret and Yoko in the same night.
Well, he's babyface. He wants to show he's number one, the best.
God, because like the idea of, okay, what would you prefer? Fighting Crush, easy win, and then fighting a weakened Bret or Yokozuna
exactly
for the title? Wouldn't that be the preferable route?
Yeah.
He was
That'd
celebrating.
be the smart strategic approach. Yes.
He was celebrating at getting Yoko first, which he lost, and then you're just out. You don't even get the main event of WrestleMania.
Yeah, you just get the one match. Maybe that's why he wanted to face Yoko. It's because, all right, I'll lose to Yoko, one and done. I don't have to worry about wrestling two matches now. Cool.
I can go home. I can go
back on the Lex Express.
No, he got nothing to do with that anymore. He's
Nope.
if I lose to Yoko, no more Lex Express.
It's like I've made it clear to Bruce Pritchard, I don't like being on this bus.
I hate this bus.
I don't like going town to town. There's too many autograph signings, events at malls and car dealerships.
These damn malls.
Tired of it.
Back then, malls were packed, by the way. It's not
They
like malls
were.
now.
They were cultural epicenters.
He had to fight with Tiffany for some mall space there.
Mm-hmm.
That was quite a few years earlier, anyways. So yeah, and they show the graphic of like the various alternate universe scenarios. What would happen if the coin went heads or the coin went tails?
Yeah. They got brackets. Yeah,
and it's like, wait, I'm so trying to wrap my head around this, and the crowd was so
terrible.
confused.
It was terrible.
It was awful.
Bad. It was
Absolutely
bad. There was
awful.
a much more streamlined approach. I guess the idea is similar to the WrestleMania 35 main event is try to provide some twists and turns and some semblance of drama on the road there. When sometimes the more streamlined approach and focusing on the characters is really the way to go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Having to manufacture that level of drama and twists and turns comes off as overriding as opposed to, all right, let's keep it streamlined and let's focus on the characters.
Yeah.
The tension that arises from these characters clashing.
Triple threat. A triple threat is fine.
Yeah.
You get to protect everyone, because even the Bret Yoko match, like the finish sucked.
Yeah.
It was just Yoko fell.
Imagine if Yoko was going for his finisher, and then Luger comes flying in with a flying bionic forearm.
Yeah.
And right as he hits it, Yoko hits the mat. Bret, throws Luger out of the ring and then covers Yoko. There
That's
you go.
sick. That's hella cool right there.
That'd be a much better finish.
Yeah, absolutely. Instead, Luger is a curtain jerker.
Yeah,
He's out.
much.
He's gone.
Yeah, he's gone.
Put him out there to see what happens. All right, let's move on now to number 6.
6.
Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 31. So this is one of the ones that we discussed on that episode 3 years ago, but it's always worth revisiting, Larson, because it ended in a tug-of-war.
It did. I looked back to get the timeline for a couple of notable Roman promos. The Suffering Succotash, the one where he told the Jack and the Beanstalk story.
Oh, my God.
He had to drop both those promos within the same week.
That's awful.
And it was all before the Rumble.
Oh, my God.
It was early mid-January, he had to do those 2 promos.
The same
Back-to-back
week, was
shows,
it on
one on a
successive-
SmackDown, one on a Raw.
A Raw and a SmackDown, just back-to-back days?
Well,
Or
one was on the 9th and one was on the 12th.
Okay. So it was Thursday night SmackDown? Is that
I think
what it
so,
was?
yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
So, of course, let's go back to the Rumble. Lesnar wins or defends his WWE Championship against John Cena and Seth Rollins triple threat match. Fantastic match.
Yeah, really great match.
Awesome match. Later on the night, Roman wins the Rumble. Crowd dumps all over, even though The Rock shows up and raises Roman's hand.
They hate it.
And The Rock has a look on his face saying, "Booze?
What is this?
I haven't heard booze in more than a decade." This is still when everybody wanted Daniel Bryan to be champion.
Roman's time was a year earlier. The people were fine
Yeah.
with Roman in 2014.
Yeah. So, WWE tried their best to address this fan discontent by saying, all right, we're going to have Roman put up his Mania title shot against Daniel Bryan in a match at Fastlane, which we all know which way that was going to go. Roman was going to win, and rather than thinking that the fans were going to be cool with it, they should have realized what was going to happen is the fans would get even more angry and resentful towards Roman Reigns.
Again, they're just dangling a carrot that,
Yeah.
and pulling it away. Yeah.
And so between Fastlane and Mania, Roman and Brock had 2 interactions. That was it. One of them, the tug of war.
Yeah. Wasn't the other one like that sit-down interview?
Oh, yeah, maybe.
I think that was a sit-down interview. I think that was for 31. And it was like, that's when Heyman was like, I know your family. And I know this, that, the other. And you can't beat Brock or whatever.
It's so hard to tell because they've wrestled so many times.
They did. Yeah. I mean, that, for all I know, that was 34, but I'm almost positive that was 31.
Yeah.
So yeah. And like you said, it ended with that, tug of war. It was just,
And they kind of ran that story kind of parallel to it, that Brock was going to leave because his contract was up.
Yeah.
And then like basically right before WrestleMania, they're like, no, I signed a new deal.
Yeah. And we were like,
So at least any drama about, Brock winning and leaving with the title, that's out the window too.
Yeah. Let's move on now to number 5.
5.
Undertaker versus Big Boss Man at WrestleMania 15.
Oh my gosh, this is terrible. I remember watching this live, this WrestleMania when it happened, and thinking, what the hell?
Yeah,
So-
I mean, the funny thing, go ahead.
So this is when the corporation was a thing. Boss Man was Vince's like security detail.
Yes.
He had the tactical gear on at that point.
Yeah.
And parallel to that, Undertaker was just really starting up the ministry. Naked Midian had joined.
Oh, yeah.
Viscera, the Brood. Like the ministry was really taking shape.
Yeah.
And their stated goal was that they wanted to take over WWE.
They wanted to get into an action. They wanted a business.
They did, yes. They wanted the ministry, but they wanted like an LLC, not just a faction for wrestling purposes.
The MWO, they want the Ministry World Order. We saw
Something like
we
that,
want
yeah.
our own pay-per-views sold out.
Yeah. So they, of course, if they want to go after take over WWE, they got to go after Vince.
Yeah.
So Undertaker and Kane are booked in this Inferno match on February 22nd. And Vince is on commentary.
Okay, so this is where I have to pause here because I watched this 2 times. According to the Wikipedia entry,
Oh, you didn't hear him mention this?
Vince. So I think what happened was, the week prior, the Boss Man arranged for a 6-man match on Raw,
Yeah.
Ministry versus Corporation. And I think it was during that match, and I couldn't find that match. It
Gotcha.
might be on like Netflix or something, but I was just looking on the YouTube clips. But I think it was during that match that McMahon just sort of casually drops, yeah, I'm putting Undertaker in there with Boss Man Hell in a Cell at WrestleMania. And then the next week, they
Was
had
Inferno.
an Inferno match, but Vince had not mentioned Boss Man. So, like, the reason why I bring this up, on the Wikipedia entry, it says, during this match, McMahon provided commentary, nonchalantly revealing he had placed Undertaker in a Hell in a Cell match against Big Boss Man for WrestleMania. I did not hear that, and I listened to this thing twice.
Gotcha.
This was, though, the match that Paul Bearer comes out, and McMahon was on commentary, and he gives them the teddy bear, like a package, and there's Stephanie's teddy bear in there. And McMahon just in the most overly dramatic way.
So
Why?
Yeah, after Undertaker sets it on fire, yeah.
And then, Undertaker lights it on fire. Kane had his boot lit on fire in the Inferno match. So Undertaker won that. The bottom line with this whole thing is, so I'm looking at WrestleMania 15, and I don't remember exactly when Vince started wrestling back during the Attitude Era. But like, this would have been perfect because this feud was just Undertaker versus Vince.
I know.
And Bossman was such a minor character, barely involved in this build at all, that this really probably should have been Vince versus Undertaker.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's interesting looking back at some of the WrestleManias during WWE's peak of the Attitude Era and seeing that a lot of WrestleManias are not very good.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
15, it's not a good show.
Yeah.
16, not a good show.
Honestly, like a lot of 14 isn't good either.
Yeah. It wasn't really till 17, 18, 19, for a lot of respects, not across the board, but a lot of the highlights of the Attitude Era are across those shows. And a lot of lowlights too.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But yeah, of course, this is the match where after Undertaker won, somehow found a noose and hung Bossman from it was the brew that came down from the ceiling.
Yeah.
and hung Bossman as the cell was being raised.
Wasn't it Gangrel who obviously did not want to be up there? He was like,
yeah.
Yeah, this is a horrible build. Like, it's funny because it's not like the drama and the soap opera shit, like, isn't that bad. But it's like Bossman is kind of he's sort of a non-factor in all this.
Yeah.
So it's just really silly stuff. And if you think about it, like
very much a secondary character. Yeah.
Oh yeah. If you think about it, like going back to the idea that they could have done Undertaker versus Vince McMahon, if the whole idea is we're trying to take the WWF, wouldn't Vince be the guy? And then the idea of like Undertaker then hanging Vince McMahon in Hell in a Cell.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a pretty dramatic thing. I still think it'd be probably pretty bad, but it would have just made a lot more sense. Even Shane, who just took on X-Pac for the European Championship. Let's get Shane versus Undertaker 1, and then in 2016 we can get Shane versus Undertaker 2.
Yeah.
There were a million different ways they could have gone with this, and they just went with Bossman. So
I'm trying to see, it wasn't that long after that. It was April 29th. So that would have been a couple weeks, 3 weeks after Mania, that the corporation and the ministry merged.
Is that when he was the higher power?
And it was after that Vince revealed himself to be the higher power.
Okay, yeah.
Because he was feuding with the corporate ministry for a little bit.
Yeah, I remember just being really
and then it was June 7th, so a month and a half later.
Yeah, I remember being super confused by all that.
It was all super confusing. It was just, all right, we're going to have these shock moments for the sake of shock moments, whether it makes sense or not. In this case, it did not make sense.
Yeah. All right, let's move on now to number 4.
For
another Undertaker match. Undertaker versus our favorite Sid.
We got to go back to the Rumble, preceding Mania 13.
There's so much just drama surrounding HBK that just cocked up
everything.
WWF in 1997.
Everything. So the idea for WrestleMania 13, the main event, was going to be Bret and Shawn Michaels in a rematch at 12 with Bret going over and winning the title as kind of like, all right, I'll drop the title to you at 12 if you do the same for me at 13. So you have the Rumble, and Stone Cold is eliminated towards the end.
Yeah.
But the ref that's watching that side of the ring is addressing a fight between Terry Funk and Cactus Jack McFoley. So he doesn't see Stone Cold's feet hit. He realizes this, gets back in the ring, eliminates Vader, Undertaker, and Bret Hart.
Right.
He wins.
Yes.
Bret Hart comes out on Raw. He's pissed because he's watched the tape. He realized Austin was eliminated. He's tired of getting screwed over by the company, so on and so forth. So they make a match at In Your House Final 4 with Hart, Taker, Vader, and Austin.
The Final 4 from the Royal Rumble.
Yes, to determine who is going to face the champion at WrestleMania. But before that pay-per-view, Shawn Michaels citing a knee injury that he said could end his career, and also he lost his smile.
Yes.
Vacated the title.
That career-ending knee injury was for 4 weeks.
For 4 weeks.
Right. Also, that match at In Your House Final Four was a Royal Rumble elimination style match.
Yes.
And Austin was the first person eliminated by being thrown over the top rope by Bret.
So there you go. And so that match, rather than being for the number one contendership, was for the title.
Yes.
At Final
Correct.
Four.
Right.
So Bret wins that.
Yeah.
He is champion. Last eliminating Undertaker.
Right.
But
Uh-huh.
the next night on Raw, Bret has to defend that title against Sid. I'm just doing this all from memory. So
yeah, you're
if
doing
I'm
good
wrong,
so
please
far.
tell
You're
me.
doing good because I refreshed myself as well. You're doing good.
Sid wins.
Yes. Thanks to, I think,
Austin costing Bret the match.
Yeah.
But Bret gets a rematch in a cage match against Sid.
Yeah.
And you have Undertaker trying to help Sid win so he could face Sid at Mania. And you have
Right.
Austin trying to help Bret win so he could face Bret at Mania. Their match will be then a world title match.
Yeah.
Again, it's a cage match, which in theory is to keep outside interference out.
Usually just keeps it in.
In the end, Sid wins. And since Undertaker was the runner-up in the Final Four match,
Right.
he faces Sid at WrestleMania. Oh, that makes my head hurt.
It's horrible. It's absolutely horrible. And then, like, shortly after, Shawn Michaels shows up and then goes away again, shows up again at SummerSlam as a guest referee.
He
And
was
then
on commentary at WrestleMania for the main event.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Yeah, just an absolute disaster. An absolute disaster. What is interesting though is when you watch, for example, that In Your House, the Final Four, just how much that WrestleMania Bret Hart match mattered to Stone Cold, because that crowd, it is crazy to this day to watch to listen to the glass break and hear his theme, and people are like this.
Yep.
Everybody says, like, you know, oh, his King of the Ring promo in '96. Honestly, I didn't do dick for him besides maybe sell some shirts. People are just like this. You see a couple like, you know, smart marks out there like, oh man, Stone Cold, he's great. But the vast majority of people just like, down.
Yeah.
You know, just don't give a shit about this guy. And then that match against Bret Hart at WrestleMania, that did everything for him. Because after that, it was on.
Yep.
Let's move on now to number 3.
Oof. Number 3.
Jack Swagger versus Alberto Del Rio for the world title at WrestleMania 29. Now, this is like peak world title being the B title. You know, we often have debates, usually on our Hot Take show, about like what title matters more, the Raw World Heavyweight Championship now held by Phil Brooks, or the Cody Rhodes title now held by Cody Rhodes.
There was no debate.
There was zero debate. Back then,
yeah,
the big gold belt was held down by the guy on a clip show. And if you look at the field back then, you've got Jack Swagger, Alberto Del Rio, Christian, Nick Nemeth. You've got these names that just, it was like, oh my God, this is horrible. And this is like that peak fuse, Jack Swagger versus Alberto Del Rio. This had to do, I think, with Zeb Coulter, right? With Dutch Mantell.
Correct. It was when they started doing the We the People thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, this is just two dudes who really nobody cared about. Nobody wanted to see. And I don't even know why they were bothering with this. All right. So the way this went down was Del Rio was champion, big gold belt champion. And he fought Big Show at elimination. Big Show, another name involved in the big gold belt scene at the time as well. He beat Big Show to retain Elimination Chamber. And then listen to this lineup in the actual Elimination Chamber match. You've got Chris Jericho, Mark Henry, Daniel Bryan, Kane, and Randy Orton. And then you got Jack Swagger. And Swagger won against all those other names that you could have had facing Alberto Del Rio for the big gold belt at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Jack Swagger is the guy who they went with over Chris Jericho, Mark Henry, Daniel Bryan, Kane, and Randy Orton.
Can't explain it.
Can't explain it.
Can't explain it.
And yeah, this was when they were doing that sort of like proto MAGA Tea Party, we the people shit.
Yeah. So
Which
bad.
I guess, hey, we've always talking about WWE not being ahead of the times. This kind of was to a degree. It was like, wait, what are they doing?
Oh my gosh. And then later on, Del Rio comes back and they put him with Zeb Coulter.
Yeah, that was the weirdest thing. That was like, it's like, wait, what? What are you talking about? That was all so confusing, man.
It was.
But yeah, two guys absolutely nobody wanted to see going at it for that title that just meant nothing, like less than nothing.
Yeah.
Anyways, let's move on now to number 2. Hulk Hogan versus Sergeant Slaughter. So yes, we just recently talked about this one, but
A build so bad,
the build
they had to move venues for WrestleMania.
What did they sell? It was like the stadium there in LA, the Coliseum.
106,000 it was set up for.
And they
and they
like,
advertised Mania was going to be there a year in advance.
And they sold like, it was 2 months out and they had sold
14,000 tickets.
So yeah, during this particular feud, of course, Ultimate Warrior had the title after having beat Hulk Hogan a year prior.
Yeah.
And then it was at
The Rumble, I believe, where Slaughter beat Warrior for the title so they could set up the Mania match. Iraqi Sympathizer. This is during the Desert Storm.
Desert Storm of the Iraqi War.
Yeah. And so they had heel Sergeant Slaughter as champion walking in to face off against Hulk Hogan.
And they had him with what's his
General
face? Iron
Adnan
Sheik.
and Iron Sheik.
Yeah. And they were just decked out in Iraqi attire.
Like military attire, yeah.
Yeah. It's like, wow. Put them out there, see what happens. And we saw what happened. People hated it. They were like, upset that they were exploiting like an actual war with real casualties.
Yeah.
As they should be.
Yeah.
And the interest was just dirt low. Just absolutely dirt low. Do they see this old man Sergeant Slaughter doing this shit in 1991? Yeah, pretty bad stuff. Pretty gnarly stuff. Let's move on now then to number 1. Talked about it last week. Booker T versus Triple H. Now, I can understand having, done the research last week on this. Booker T saying, hey, JR was saying I should explore some of my personal, issues as it pertains to the racism that he'd experienced coming up. Mm-hmm. I just don't think that this is the way to do it. Triple H in there doing the people like you shouldn't be wrestling in main event matches for the world title, trying to pay him to be his driver. It was just this, so like WWE, when you want to do the fantasy land shit, they're great at it most of the time. When they try at all to mix in like heavy stuff like racism, it never works. It's always so bad and it's just uncomfortable.
It is.
And then you see how this plays out at WrestleMania and it's like, really? You had the racist guy win?
Awful. Bad. It was so bad. Awful.
Yeah, this is literally like the worst build and result, especially result.
Yes.
It would be one thing if Booker T won. Maybe the perception of this build would be a little bit different. It's like, yeah, you probably still shouldn't be doing this stuff, but at least you had the right outcome.
Yeah.
But then the finish to this match and the way it ended and the actual outcome, it was, somebody had a hot take not long ago. I'm trying to remember. Oh, I think it's over actually at WrestleJuice. Sorry. So it's a pro wrestling opinion you would die on a hill for because I try to separate the two.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's good.
And somebody said that Booker T, if booked right, could have been on the same level as all the other huge names of the time, the Stone Colds, the Rocks. I believe that thoroughly.
1,000%.
I think the crowd loved Booker T. They always wanted to get behind the guy.
Yeah.
And I think that if they had booked him in the same way, on the same level as those top names, I think he would have been over even bigger than he was. And
Oh,
I think he
1,000%,
could have been
yeah.
a generational name. I
Yeah.
really do.
Agreed,
Yeah.
100%.
Let's talk about these dishonorable mentions, Larson.
Yeah, let's talk about them. First one here, Jerry Lawler versus Michael Cole, WrestleMania 27. Their kind of feud did make Raw more or less unwatchable. Yeah, the anonymous Raw general manager to the mix as well at times. The only reason it's really not on the list is because we talk about it a lot. It was on the list last week. I thought, hey, let's put some different entries on here, talk about some different stuff, but terrible.
The fact that this permeated Raw for months from
Even
Michael
after
Cole,
WrestleMania.
from Michael Cole calling Daniel Bryan a nerd all the time, to his stupid coal miner shtick, to the fucking like bulletproof glass thing that he had. And yeah, it made Raw like through and through, because this was not, a segmented feud. This was, these guys are the voice of the show throughout these 2-3 hour show, whatever it is at the time, these long ass shows, and you have to hear it throughout the entire episode.
Yeah, it was terrible. Jake Roberts versus Rick Martel at WrestleMania 7. This all stemmed from Rick Martel shooting some cologne in Jake Roberts' face and blinding him.
Yeah.
On the Brother
It was
Love.
cologne?
Yeah.
Does that actually have that negative, that kind of effect on?
Not that I'm aware of, not to that degree.
Okay. Well,
On the Brother Love show.
put it out there.
Put it out there, see what
Give
happens.
me some red makeup on my face. I'll put it out there, see what happens.
And this, of course, led to a blindfold match at WrestleMania 7. Well, the match is not good, but I will give them credit for finding a creative way to make it work.
You know,
It's
dude.
not good, but they listened, Jake especially, as babyface, listened to the crowd, and it helped him. And I thought, that's about as good as you can get with that.
I appreciate that is a Death Hill opinion that you have.
It's not good, but I at least appreciate how they approached it.
You find the entertainment value in it.
Yeah, I can give credit where credit's due when they come up with something clever.
There you go.
Next here, this is really bad. Shawn Michaels feud with Vince leading up to WrestleMania 22. And this isn't even the God stuff.
No, this isn't even the God stuff. This is the Marty Jannetty Kiss My Ass Club stuff, which is just awkward as hell.
This is where they try to make Shawn Michaels take a piss test, a drug test in the middle of the ring.
He does throw urine on people, though.
He does.
I think it's like Shane and Stephanie. They get hit with some urine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's bad. It's really bad.
It's just week after week of Vince being, this is like peak bad Vince, you know? When he was just over the top trying to be as awful as possible.
Oh, it was awful. Next up here, Triple H, John Cena, Randy Orton, the build to WrestleMania 24. Again, just convoluted, unnecessarily so. Cena comes back, surprise entrant after the Tord Peck wins the Rumble. And rather than getting his opportunity at Mania, he does it at like No Way Out.
And Randy does the whole like hitting the ref to get DQ'd thing. It makes Cena look like an idiot. I'll say this. The actual promos and performances here are actually pretty decent. Like when you go back and watch the like the video package for this, it's like, the writing is really bad, but the performances are okay. It's like the Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah.
It's like production wise, this isn't terrible.
Yeah.
But like, and you have to kind of appreciate also. That's why I didn't insist on putting this on the actual list. Triple H got into this match to be the pin guy.
Speaking of Triple H, him versus Roman at WrestleMania 32.
Yeah.
Again, they're trying to find that coronation moment for Roman at WrestleMania. They thought maybe, hey, Triple H, he can get heat from the crowd if he walks out of the Rumble as WWE champion. Have Roman go over at 32. Roman's the dude now.
Yeah.
And no, it didn't happen. Triple H had no business walking in as champion.
No.
And especially when, rather than doing everything he could to help Roman get to that point, he kind of said to Roman, all right, you got to earn this. Doing crotch chops, getting the crowd behind him and stuff like that.
Yeah. It's like, dude, this is a scripted thing. You just need to like help the guy out here.
I know.
You have him drop
I know.
Suffer and Succotash promos a year earlier.
I know.
What are you going to do? You know?
I know. And then finally here, Sid versus Hogan at Mania 8. And it's mostly just because it's not Hogan and Flair.
Yeah. And they had that weird press conference where like they have like all the like main event level guys.
Yeah.
And they're like all just figuring it out on the spot.
Yeah. Yeah. Forgot about that.
Oh, man. Anyways, there you go. There's a list for whatever we're going to call this. Worst Mania builds, I guess.
Yeah, worst Mania builds.
That are
a few years ago, we would have had to put fails in the title. because remember back in the day when fails was like instant views.
We should bring that. We should bring that
All right,
back.
WrestleMania storyline fails.
Perfect. There you go. We got the title, everybody. Till next time, we'll see you guys around.
Goodbye.